take a look at adding wind as a dynamic property. I'm going to load up another piece of text, just another simple extruded piece of text, and open up my FX browser and select wind, and there we are. If I just hit start, nothing happens because I have nothing applied to my wind effects object. Let's go in and select, let's start with hard effects, and these are just all using the default settings. Sure enough, there it goes, it's already affecting it. That's the default wind, the default hard effects. Now once we have that, we know it's working. So let's, and because our objects here are all layout objects, we can keyframe them just like anything else we'd want to keyframe. So let's go to 30 and size that up. And do a recalculate. And look at that, going nuts. Maybe more than we need right now. Let's try this. Start. And it needs to be just a little bit bigger. We could also add some rotation to it to keep things interesting. And maybe size it up a little bit more. And there we go. Give ourselves a few more frames to work with. Zoom out. Pretty cool. Now that is pretty much using the default wind and the default hard effects. And we can see we've got some interpenetration going on with our object right here. That's easy enough to fix. We go to the wind effects object, hard effects, collision, self-interaction, make it a box, calculate, and now they push each other out of the way. So what was that? 3-4 easy steps? Not too bad, and you've got something good enough to actually show a client. Didn't take too long. If you were going to do that manually, that would take you a long time. So let's go in and take a look at some of the other settings we have here. We have wind effects, our wind, open our properties. We have many different types of wind. The name is fairly straightforward. Direction means it's just blowing one direction. Explosion, very handy. It moves things out from all directions. The one I like is either rotation. When you use rotation, you want to have some spiral in there. We'll make it a little bit bigger. One of the things I like is these little knobs that actually show you the direction that the wind is going to be going. At least the force of the wind. And I think I'll remove my keyframe here so we only have the effect of the wind itself. So I've removed my keyframe of the wind as a layout object. You can see it's a little too small. Just size it up here. A little bit bigger. There we go. And things are whipping around in the wind. Rotation is good. Cylinder is a lot of fun. You do have to recalculate this each time. Now we have a number of settings in here. Fairly straightforward. Power, of course, is the force of the wind. Donut is a lot of fun. Let's start with that. Well, not enough to see here, but basically it winds it in on itself. Now I'm using it on a piece of text here. There is no reason that I can't use it on some other object. let's take out this text and add in the Ford truck that we had before. What do you suppose will happen here? Looks like we may need to scale up our wind a little bit. And give it a lot more power, a lot more spiral. And let's see what happens to our poor little truck. Well, nothing, because we haven't applied any dynamics to the truck. So we go in, we'll just select hard and leave it with the default settings, hit calculate. And the truck is being torn around and around and twisted by the wind effect. Just like the text object did previously. Now we do have some interpenetration, and we know we can go in and change that. Let's see what happens when we change the type of dynamic. I have just calculated the wind effect on the truck, and the truck has cloth dynamics applied to it. You can see how it's being twisted by the wind effect, which has the property of being a donut. And you can see how it's like twisting around in almost a donut shape. This would be a great effect, for instance, if you're having something implode. And just another example, even though it says cloth effects, I'm applying this to a truck, which is not made out of cloth. But it didn't stop me. I'm here alone in my room, nobody's watching, and I can do or try anything I want, and if I don't like it, there's always a clear screen. So just another example how the wind can affect objects, text. We have several different examples on the disk. Let's load one of those up. And of course, once it's loaded, we do need to calculate it. And here we're using a combination of wind and also a ground plane that's working as a collision object. The text is falling a bit and it's being shifted around by the wind. Very interesting titles. One more example. And let's calculate that. We have keyframed the size of the wind, so it's growing, and that's under Object Properties. And under, we have our wind effect keyframe to grow larger, and it's whipping all the letters around.